Werner Zinkant from the German network, from the German MPN network, and I'm very much surprised. I thought everybody needs money, but we are very little persons here. And I have to start with some explanations why I am speaking here. I can't tell you very much about fundraising. That's a problem. It's maybe you are in the wrong session, you may think now. But I'm talking about the German system, and the German system is very much different from the system Bill will explain to you. Bill is living in the United States. In Germany, we have a social system, and we get the money, we only have to ask for it. It's really a big difference. And Ruben Mesa told us one size fits all. That's not true. This size fits only for Germans, I'm telling you. And I'm one of the chairmen of the German MPN network. I myself have a PVera, and I do it for 5 years now. One other chairman is Rainer, sitting here. If you want to ask questions afterwards, that's Rainer. He's one of the Germans. And the German network is about 600 persons. We have an internet group, we have a forum, and about 600 persons are organized. And I'm here I was in the preparing group for this event in London, and we were talking about financing by pharma. And I had always to talk, we don't take money from pharma in Germany. We don't want to get in close relation to pharma, for we think we can afford it not to take the money, and we think it's better to be independent from pharma, for there's always an expectation. People who give you money have always expectations to you, what they want you to do, and we don't like the idea of getting it from pharma, yeah? And I told you we have 600 members, and we start to get money. It's a registered group, we call it in Germany, eingetragener Verein. And the members have to pay fees for us if they want to get part of the group. Yeah? There was a big discussion if it should be free, absolute, but we started and we had to do internet pages, we had to print brochures, and we needed the money. So we have 600 members who pay a fee, and it's in our case, it's between 30 and 60 euros a year, but you can spend more. And there are some persons, or many persons maybe, who spend 500 euros, who spend 600 euros, who can afford it. If you tell us you can't pay 30 euros, you can get a member without paying at all. And that's the ground for us, a ground level to get some money. The second part, that's the special situation in Germany. There's a law. In Germany, we have two kinds of health insurance system. And one is a private system. It's interesting for people who earn a lot of money, maybe football stars, maybe doctors, maybe lawyers. They can afford to get into the private insurance companies. If you earn less, if you're a usual person, you have to be in the legal insurance company. I call it legal insurance companies. There are two different parts. And the legal companies, in Germany we have about 80 million people. The legal companies have about 70 million members. And these 70 million persons have to pay for social groups. That's a law, and every person has to pay €1. Every member of the legal insurance companies has to pay €1 a year. And there are different reasons. That's about 60 million of money. That's only for social groups, like MPN. And that's for us very easy to get money. For we just ask the insurance company, we tell them we want to do, we have to do every year a meeting. That's part of our MPN network. So we tell them we want to do a meeting, we want to invite some doctors, we tell them an exactly program. And afterwards, we say maybe 100 persons will come. So we get from them 30,000 euros. And it's very easy to get it if you have once a connection to the company. Yeah? And we can phone the persons, we tell them what we are planning, they tell us, please make a calculation. You have to give by yourself about 10%. Yeah? That if you get 30,000, it's only 3,000 we have to pay for it, and we get it. And it's very easy. It's just we make a call, we make a letter. You do it in one evening if you have done it before. And you get a letter back from the insurance company, and that's the best of all, I think. It's a letter of two sides, and you understand every word. If you do a contract with pharma, you get 20 pages, and you need a lawyer to understand every single line. Yeah? That's very easy for us. And maybe that's the most important thing, that they have to give money for us. And yesterday I talked to David, the American who is running PV Reporter. I told him our system, and he said, I can't understand, why do they offer money to you? Everybody wants to keep his money, yeah? But that's the social idea in Germany, that the companies think it's better to pay in advance, it's better to help these people, otherwise it's more expensive for us. And that's the reason how it works in Germany. Yeah? And I can just show you what we are doing. We are doing brochures. We made a web page, a big one, and we got just some numbers. Yeah, we got 30,000 euros for the yearly meeting. We made the brochures, and these three ones. That's about the PV. MF and ET, yeah? And we got the money from the insurance companies. They even told us who is writing the texts. And we said, yeah, it's some members of us. And the companies told us, please give them money, for they are doing work. So nobody is expecting it, but that's the way they want to get the money to the people who needs it. And that's my conclusion. Maybe we are in heaven in a special kind of way, yeah? But we are still sick. And you can't use our system, I guess, for international questions. But it's just an idea that it works different in different countries. That's all I would like to say. And Bill will go on and talk about fundraising, and afterwards we can discuss or put your questions. Yeah? Okay.
Thank you, Werner. As Werner said, my name is Bill Crowley. I'm with the MPN Research Foundation from the United States. And my title with the foundation is Director of Development. And it's not Director of Fundraising. And you may be wondering, why don't they call it fundraising in the United States? And you may be looking at the word development because it has different meanings around the world. You may be more familiar with it, working with countries that need, low-income countries that need economic improvements for the people living there. That's one side of nonprofit development, working with those countries. I work in the development field, and the reason we call it development and not fundraising, because it's not about money, as strange as that may seem. It's about developing relationships with the people who believe in your cause and want to help you achieve your goals as an institution. To be sure, I have a goal each year of how much money I'm supposed to raise, but I have another goal of how many people I'm supposed to connect with, and who those people are and how much they're willing to help the organization depends on how I support them. Now, before I start, I'm not sure if anybody got the handout. There's two down here. You can get them after the presentation. And there will be more at the tables at the end. I will also have handouts that will list different websites that will provide webinars, information about how to do a fundraising program, specific ideas about end-of-the-year giving, a direct mail program, whatever you want to do. But the warning comes with, if you get on their mailing list, you will get stuff every day. So if you want your email to get inundated with stuff, they'll be glad to send it to you. I get it 3 or 4 times a day from most of them. And sometimes they're helpful and sometimes they're not so helpful. When you start a fundraising program, what we're talking about is developing relationships with individuals. And that's the first thing you should look at. Not how much you need to raise, but who you should be asking. And in this group, it's a fairly simple answer. Patients, their family, and their friends. People who do not have any connection to MPNs, at least this has been my experience, are not going to be interested in giving to your program because they don't know what it is. They may, and there are many philanthropic programs in the world that have very good programs, but if you don't connect to them, if you're not interested, you're not going to give. So those are your first prospects. The other one is looking at how much you need. Look at your program, look at what you want to accomplish, and put a dollar budget next to it, and figure out how much it's going to cost you to do the kind of things that you need to do. Now, once you've done that, then you've got to create a fundraising plan. And a lot of people will say something, well, why don't we just have a gala dinner, and we'll raise what we need at the gala dinner, or a golf outing, or a 5K, or a marathon, or a poker run, or whatever event you want to do. And those are fine. But those are one-time events. And what happens is people will go to the dinner or go to the event and feel really good about supporting the institution that one time. You don't want them to give and support the institution once. You want this relationship to develop over years so that they keep coming back and continuing to give. Also, too, believe me, I've planned all of those types of events. They are not easy to plan. It takes a lot of time, effort, and money to pull off those events. So they're not the easiest. And with this group of patients, it's a small group. You might not have a group of patients in one geographic location for them to come to a gala or a golf outing or whatever it is you want to plan. So events really don't work for MPNs very much. We don't do them. There are other things that we do. What we do, or what I do, is called donor relations. Again, working with those people who have an interest in our program and what we want to accomplish. And for us, that means supporting research. For you, it means advocacy, outreach, getting connected with patients. And when you are, well, I don't know, does anybody in here know somebody like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or somebody with deep pockets? Because if you do, you don't have to be here. Just ask them. I don't know those guys, and I don't know anybody with those deep pockets. So I have to do a little bit different things. But I get asked that all the time. Can't you just call these guys up and ask them to support our program? No, you can't do that. But fundraising isn't impossible. It just takes a little planning. And it's relatively easy. I've developed an acronym for it. It's called Get Real. Research your prospects, engage them, ask them, which is the most important part, because the one reason people don't give is because nobody asks them. And finally, after they give, love them. So get real. Now, the first step, like I said, is research. Now, it may seem obvious, but most groups don't put a dollar value on what they need, and that's the first thing you need to do. Now, the handouts will show you a calculator, and it's called a gift pyramid. It looks like this. There's columns and things like that. Now, I set this up for a target gift of $100,000. You want to raise $100,000 for your program. Experience has told me that what you need to reach that goal is one gift of $25,000, one gift of $15,000. So in other words, the first $40,000 you raise comes from 2 people. And to get those 2 gifts, you need to know 5 people at each level. In other words, 10 people to get those 2 gifts. That's roughly the ratio that you're going to need. And the rest of the period goes down to, finally, you'll probably need to raise $100,000, roughly around 50 to 100 people who can give more than $250. It all depends on how much they can give. But the calculator is online. There's a website that'll tell you, and you just plug in the number of the goal that you want, and it'll fill in how many gifts you think how many gifts they think you should get to reach that dollar amount. That's part of the science of fundraising, and that's the end of science of fundraising. Those are the numbers. That's a guide. You may be able to find donors who are able to give a lot more, so you reach your goal without getting all of those gifts. Or you may not have a donor who's able to give $25,000. You may be able to find a donor who can only give 15 or 10. That could be your biggest gift. And that means you've got to get more donors at the lower end. But you have to work that out as you go along. Now, once you've identified how many donors you need for each level, then you go back and look at who's on your list. Who are the people that you connect with each day, each month? Who gets your newsletter? Who are the people who you contact all the time? Those are your prospects. And you need to know what their ability is to give to your organization. You may know that, but you may not know everything about them. And this is where you have to ask for help. I put together a committee of board members, and we bring them into the office for a screening program. In other words, they have a list of donors, and they get a sheet, which is the second one I have, with those names on it. And there are 3 categories. 3 things that you need to ask about each one of your donors. You need to know this. How much can they give? What's their capacity? Are they wealthy enough to give the kind of gift that you need, or how much do you think they can give? At what level of that pyramid? The next thing, are they generous? They may have a lot of money, but they may not give a lot of money. So if they're not generous and have a lot of money, they're not as good a prospect. And the final part is interest. If they're not interested in your program, or if they have interest in other areas, they may not be able to give at the level that you want them to give, or that they could give, because they're giving to other programs that are of interest to them also. But that's not where you end. Once you do the screening, and you rate each one of those areas, capacity, philanthropy, and interest, on 1 to 5, 5 being the most, 1 being the least, those prospects that have a 12 or above, those are the people you call first. Those are your best prospects. But don't just get stuck on C and P. Just because they have the capacity and they're philanthropic, if they're not very interested in your program, don't throw them away. Don't go to them. That just means you have to build that interest among them. So they're still a prospect, just not as good as somebody who has a strong interest. Now, once you've reached that stage and you have your list of prospects and you have ranked them by the best prospects to the least prospects, then you want to start with the art of fundraising, as I call it. In other words, you want to engage these people. You want to contact them. You want to send them emails, letters. You want to phone calls. You want to meet with them if they are of a high capacity. You want to get to know, and this is the important thing that a lot of fundraisers don't do. You want to get to know why they're interested in your organization, what they're trying to accomplish. A lot of fundraisers will go and say, this is what we want to do. This is what we're trying to accomplish. We need to do this, and we want you to help us. What you're trying to accomplish may be what they're trying to accomplish, but not always. It's important to listen to your donor first. The next part, again, is, and that takes engaging prospects takes a long time. It could be 2 or 3 months. It could be a year or longer, depending upon the gift. And it could mean that the first gift you get from them might not be the big gift that you're looking for. It just depends on how much they've given in the past. The next part is probably the most important. Again, I've mentioned it before. It's the number one reason people don't give to an organization. It's because they're not asked. People will give if they're asked, if you've done your homework, if you've understood that they can give, if they're philanthropic, and if they have an interest. And by the time, and I know a lot of people are nervous sitting across the table, thinking about sitting across the table with somebody and asking them for a gift, $5,000, $2,000, $1,000. It can be daunting, believe me. But by the time you get to the ask, the donor knows what you're coming to see him about. They know what you're going to ask them to do. Because if they don't, you haven't done your job. That's the most important part. Engaging them so that by the time you do make the ask, it's a pretty much of a done deal. And if they say yes, it's all good. You continue to love them. You continue to keep in touch with them. And before you ask them for another gift, contact them and thank them and engage them at least 5 to 7 times. It's not a matter of always seeing somebody and asking them for a gift. Because if you do that, pretty soon they're going to say, all he wants is my money. He's not interested in what I'm trying to accomplish. And you don't want that from your donors. You want people to be engaged with you. That's if they say yes. Now, if they say no, and you've done your work, they have the capacity, they're philanthropic, they have an interest in your program, but they still said no, it could mean for a number of reasons. Perhaps they're committed to other organizations. Maybe they're not ready to give to you yet. That doesn't mean a no is an end of the conversation. It just means that you've got more work to do. Continue to engage them and continue to love them. Closing thoughts, you can do this. This is not that difficult to do, but you need that plan. And if it's organized enough, you will be able to accomplish what you need to do. Now, to help that, and this is my challenge to do today, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I have about 8 more minutes. Well, we have 8 more minutes for questions, but I had 10 minutes to talk to you folks about fundraising. And quite frankly, half of what I've told you today is wrong. The problem is I don't know which half, because I come from the United States, which has a different philanthropic environment than all of you people. You all come from different countries with different philanthropic traditions. You have to take the program that I'm talking about and shoehorn it into your situation. Now, to help you do that, I can't do it in 20 minutes. I couldn't do it in a whole day. There will be a handout with online resources that will provide webinars and direction on how to do different things for fundraising. You're going to need a database to track your donors. You're going to need, you're going to have information about end of the year giving, how to write a direct mail letter, or collect money from online donations. These other organizations can do it. It will give you direction. Some of them, Chronicle of Philanthropy is good. The Foundation Center, Network for Good. These are all good organizations that will help you do it. But again, remember, if you contact them, you're on their list, and you will be contacted often by them. So be ready for that. We have about 7 minutes for questions. Does anybody have anything? Yeah.
Well, as you said yourself, the United States is totally different from Europe. Mm-hmm. And from people which I know who do fundraising, let's say in UK and other countries, it's mostly based on events. So, you make a marathon, or you make a bicycle run, or you make a barbecue event or something like that, and when people give you money like this. Are you doing that also in the States?
Yeah. With the foundation, what we've done is create a thing called Team MPN. We can't sponsor a 5K run or a marathon or an event like that because we just don't have enough patients in one area or patient families in one area. But, this last weekend, I had a woman actually she was from Portland, Oregon, which is on the west coast of the United States, and she ran in the New York City Marathon, which is on the east coast of the United States, and she ran it as a philanthropic event for the foundation. In other words, she asked her friends and family to support her efforts, and we have a program on our website that people will go to. They create their own web fundraising page, and they share it with their friends and family, so they can do that. But that's really the only way we can do events, is have them do it individually. And we're getting a little bit better with that. Now, as I say that, there are 2 exceptions that we've had. There's a 5K run that we run each year, and there's a a walk or a hike in Massachusetts, one of the states, and they have enough patients in that area or enough friends and family in that those areas to do those events. But those are the only two places, and it's very difficult for them to keep the momentum going. But yeah, if you go to our website and look at Team MPN, it might be an opportunity. The other thing we've done is ask people to pledge their birthday. Everybody has a birthday. Everybody gets birthday presents. Maybe you don't need the tie from your nephew or whatever it is. Tell them, I don't want a tie this year, or I don't want a necklace, or I don't want a gift. I want you to contribute to this group. So they, rather than pay you $25 for a tie, they'll send the money to the organization. So ask them to pledge their birthday. It's one thing that you can do. But look at our website. If you get a chance, there might be opportunities there to steal. Believe me, I stole them from people, so you can steal them from me. Any other? Okay, thank you.
No,
I'm
I
sorry,
have
Robert.
a question.
Yeah.
I believe that one of the possibility to fundraising is by finding people that are involved somehow in the MPN problem. So we have a lot of patients. Even each of patients have families, and probably a part of them are well situated and can be donors or whatever. So one of the things I believe that we can find people that have a relation inside their family, and to bring them to us somehow.
Yeah, I look at it as a spider web. You've got a patient and their immediate family, parents, daughters, relatives, that sort of thing. They have friends. They have to be engaged to ask their friends. And that does two things. One, it obviously will help raise money, but it also raises awareness of the diseases, and that's also what we need. We need more people to understand what patients are going through, because as most of you probably know, and I know it's from the MPN side, they didn't know what these diseases were before they were diagnosed. They had never heard of them before. Family and friends of patients certainly hadn't heard about them, but their friends had not heard about them either. The more people are aware of these diseases, the quicker we'll find cures, the quicker we'll find treatments, the better off we'll all be. So, yeah, engaging family and friends and family and friends of family and friends is important, getting them all engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to know, what do you think about the German members are paying fees to get member? Does your members pay?
No.
No, it's absolutely free, yeah?
It's free. What we call it is registering on our website. And as a patient organization, we don't want to deny any patient information about their disease because they didn't pay.
Yeah.
It's free. You can get the same newsletters, the same information that we send out to people. The difference is if you register with us, we will send it to you. If you don't register, you have to come to the website and get it. We'll push it to you if you register. We'll send it to you, or you'll have to come and get it if you want it.
Yeah.
But it is free to everybody.
Okay. Do you think it would be a good idea to ask the German members, the 600, to give some donations, even small ones? They are paying already, for the year. But would it be an idea to ask them? Maybe it's Christmas and we would have a special fee, and how much would you ask for?
Yeah, I think if you're going to do something like that, what you might want to do is package it as a special program, either an end-of-the-year giving or a special project. We're trying to get this done, and this is what has worked before for me, we have a special opportunity here that's come up that we didn't budget for.
Right.
We're asking you for an extra amount this time. You can't do that very often because you can't have special programs all the time, but it will be successful in some ways.
And which amount would you ask? Small ones?
I would say small, probably. I'm talking in US dollars here, probably less than $250, but it depends on the prospect, depends on the person.
Okay.
It looks like some people are coming in, and I know that we have to shift to the next room. I appreciate it. If you've got questions or if there's something you want me to follow up with, please grab me in the coffee room or lunch or wherever. I have no problem talking to people. And my contact information is in the who's who. Contact me after the program and I'll be glad to help any way I can.